Okay, so tell me what it feels like when you get into school.
Well, I've been going there for like a week.
Okay.
Like, it's like, it's pretty good. Like, I'm in extra classes. I try to do my best at school. And,
When you get to the school, what's the feel? Like, does it feel like you're walking into a prison? Does it feel like you're walking into somewhere where people want you to be there?
it feel like I'm walking into like a road of high expectation.
Whoa. So what does that mean for you? High expectations.
Like they expectation is excellent in the world. Like, you gonna come with your shoes tied, pants up, shirt tucked in. If you ain't learning, you ain't coming in the classroom. Stuff like that.
And do they do it in a mean way or a way that they just want the best for you?
They do it in a way where they make sure you hit it, make sure you know that they mean it.
Okay. Now, we talked a little bit about gangs today. Do you know, do gangs exist in the school systems?
Of course.
Yeah? And what do you think causes kids to join gangs?
Music. It's just like music. They think it cool. They wanna, they think it cool. Like, somebody gonna get respect. They don't respect them because they in the game. People gonna be scared of them because they in the game. They think they gangsters because they in the game.
Okay. And to make sure that kids had a good experience at school, but also sort of kept their behavior good.
Make my own game.
You'd make your own gang. What would that gang do?
Like any game, like you earn this. You have to earn rank, or you get top dog if you got the most in class, or you got the highest GPA in the school, or something like that. You earn it, and I get them to earn something like I give them something to look up forward to say, oh, I like school because we got our own game and we get rewarded for it in a good way.
So does it make a big difference to be rewarded for good behavior?
Yeah, yes sir. Cause like kids, some kids do what they supposed to anyway, cause that's just them. But some kids, they like it help them. Like if you give them something to look up forward to, like they'll look up forward to that thing and do everything it takes to get there.
Why do you think some kids act out? Do you have any idea in terms of sort of the kids at your school? Like, what are the things that are causing them to cause problems?
I would say sometimes it's peer pressure. Sometimes it's the teacher. She always like that teacher that like, hey, you're gonna do this. I don't care if you get it wrong or not. I don't want no talking. You're gonna shut up in my class. Like, it's stuff like that. That get the kid ticked off while they like, you know, I ain't even gonna do this. I'm just sit right here. Stuff like that. Like, cause I ain't even from Alabama. So that's what I feel like the kids like.
So the two things are peer pressures and bad teachers?
Yeah.
Okay. What about like their home life? Like if somebody's hungry or having...
That too. Most kids who are struggling in their home, they mama try to get them to how to do it. Like, tell them, make me proud, and make yourself proud. Like, go to school, get A's and B's, and they be hard on them by the grade. So it's like, if you don't bring me back A's and B's, like, you got a consequence, because I want a better and above. Or stuff like that. They push them to the limit, the best they can be.
And do you think it's better to be hard on kids or to encourage them to sort of try to reward them for doing well?
I mean, it go both ways. Cause I know where I was from, I ain't have nothing. I had to go to school, make the best of it as I can. I try to do as much as I can. So you know, I'm in all different class. I'm trying to take all of it. I play violin. I do all of it. I'm trying to get every little thing I can, every percent I can, so when I go to high school, I can get classes out of high school and get benefits out of high school, so I can go be something, get money, and get as much money as I can in any way, but the right way.
So, do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah.
Younger or older?
Older. I'm in the middle.
Oh, you're in the middle?
So younger brothers.
Okay, for your younger brothers, what do you tell them about what they need to be doing to do well?
I tell them, like, don't follow my footsteps that I did.
So did you get in some trouble in your past?
Yeah.
What happened?
Like, just like, ain't had nothing to eat, ain't have like what I needed, and then this one it turned into wants to how bad it went. So like I go, I ain't gonna necessarily say rob or steal, but people look out for me, and I ain't even tell them to. Like I hug around them type of friends where I make sure you got something to eat the other day. I make sure I bring some food, like or something like that. Like I never believed in letting my family go home because I ain't never grow up like that. But like for all like kids who going through stuff like that, or like trying to join gangs, or trying to do that, tell them don't do it. Like don't do it because it's just a setup. Like don't join a gang.
Were you in a gang? You don't have to answer if you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
You were in a gang, and what caused you to want to join the gang?
I'm from Beirut, Louisiana. I'm from Beirut, Louisiana. Raised. I was born in Macon. I was in Beirut, Louisiana for a little bit, and then I was raised in Atlanta. So like, it's gang terror. Yeah, y'all hear that on the news a lot. Gang terror in Atlanta. Beirut, Louisiana, just raised. So like, really, I just want to tell like the kids like that, make sure like that you get every benefit in class and work. Like, make sure you put in as much work as you can, because once you get caught up, it's hard. Like once you get caught up, it's hard to like get back out, because like you're supposed to keep going, and you're supposed to like beat the statistics.
How'd you get out of it?
Like it was no deep trouble. It just like the police officers, because they come by, they still like trying to keep me out of it.
Okay. So having somebody who was helping to try to keep you out of it made a difference?
It made a difference. It really didn't make no difference. It just made like me have a connection with like getting to people. But it ain't like I ain't got nothing to snitch on nobody about.
Right.
The people who I hang around in my circle, they ain't doing that stupid.
So you said you were getting into trouble when you were hungry?
Like when I have nothing.
When you had nothing?
When I have nothing. Like I wouldn't even spend on money. I would just worry about shoes, clothes, like all this I never had. Like I'm just started getting this like 2016. I was bumming.
And so when you were hungry and you didn't have anything, that's when you were, why did that cause you to get into trouble?
Like, kids started like who was around me, going through the same thing. I'll be hanging around them and they'll do something stupid or something, and then this one, like, I ain't really getting in trouble because I already knew what my mom expected out of me.
So having high expectations makes a big difference. Cool. All right. What, do you want to say anything that I haven't asked you?
Just for people younger than me and older than me, don't join gangs, stay in school, make your family proud, first yourself proud, because start with yourself, and stay happy, try to make yourself happy all the time. Don't let nobody get up on your skin, and that's it.
In terms of the things that we learned today, have you had experience with PBIS or the school-based health centers?
I have not, but however, I do have kids that do reap benefits from those programs at the school. Because, of course, the Daughter County is low economic area in some areas of Dougherty County, if they don't have any type of public transportation, a lot of the places they need to go, they're not able to. Sometimes, definitely by having the dental place, the dental center, and the vision center, the medical center inside of some of those schools is great for the parents and great for the kids, because a lot of kids are definitely lacking the basic necessities as far as dental hygiene and basically as far as vision also, because of transportation.
Wow. So have you seen with the kids that go through your program the impact of, you also have kids, but just, well, first of all, let me ask you this. What are the issues you're seeing kids facing today in Dougherty County?
One of the main things that we see kids facing the issue with is being able to understand and adjust with coping skills. I tell my parents and kids all the time, a lot of kids now have gotten away from two important words: conflict resolution. That's why a lot of crime rates are so high in these areas, because kids don't know how to talk or resolve issues verbally. It's always going to be something on social media, some form of bullying. It's going to be some form that's definitely not a positive form to try to resolve the conflict. So like, we do teach a lot of kids ways to de-escalate situations, teach my staff the same thing also. And sometimes issues come because a lot of the adults don't know how to de-escalate. You know, some situation, a lot of the situations that between the Generation Zs, which is 2000 babies, and the baby boomers, a lot of issues in school comes from the baby boomers and the older generation don't understand that the Generation X's are very vocal, they're very socially advanced more than they were. So when you give them something, they're going to always respond back. In order to make sure that the younger generation is more receptive to the information that you're providing them, you have to find a way to de-escalate. And de-escalation is always a great tool to use, whether you're dealing with young people or you're dealing with other adults also.
So just tell me about today and what you learned or what you already knew and it confirmed.
Yeah, today we learned it's a review of the gang activity that Albany Dougherty County Gang Task Force reviewed about our reason that kids join gangs, and the program that the school system uses is a great program also, because what that does is it's basically tries to reward kids for their good behavior and also lets them come to school having a positive environment, because most of the time kids are coming from negative environments. You never know what a kid is going through, you know. So that's basically was great that not only do people in the school know, it's people in the community that understands now that the school does have systems that try to make sure that those positive minds start off the day in a positive fashion also.
Great. All right, what else do you want to tell us?
I guess I would like to tell you guys is that a lot of the issues that worldwide, statewide, citywide that we have, a lot of it comes down to conflict resolution and parents. We need to have more resources available for parents to be able to teach their kids better. Statistics show and research shows that you put someone in a situation where they can advance themselves economically or socially, most of the time their behavior changes, and it's most time it changes for the positive. But unless we're able to find those type of resources or make those resources available and put them on a higher level over some other resources that's available nationally or federally, a lot of these things are not going to change. So we have to find a way to reach the parents as far as education. If you educate a parent, the parent will educate the child. And also, like I mentioned earlier, I'm an owner of a program here in Dougherty County After School Program, which is Heroes of STEM Academy, which is an acronym for helping everyone to reach opportunities. Once again, we are the first standalone quadrilateral program here in Dougherty County. We love what we do. We love to see the children smile when they learn new adventures.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, several years ago, we had George Abbott came and made a presentation at one of our local churches. It was Friendship Baptist Church. They talked about the disparity in out-of-school suspension rates in the state of Georgia. And we looked at the state average and some of the averages of school systems throughout the state. And Dougherty County was high above the state average for out-of-school suspension. And of course, there's also disparity in race and other characteristics of students. And so we became concerned. We began to look at the work of Georgia Appleseed and PBIS in particular, and we implemented the PBIS program in our first cohort of schools like in 2013. And so we've been doing cohorts ever since. We've seen tremendous results, decrease in our discipline referrals, as well as our out-of-school suspension days. And we couldn't be more pleased with the work we're doing with PBIS, led by the efforts of Georgia, involved with Georgia Appleseed. First of all, I'm familiar with the work. Again, I became familiar with them at that meeting at the church several years ago. And then when I was approached about being a member of the board, I joined because I accepted because I believe in the work that they're doing. I believe it's important. But I also believe that when I looked at the board makeup, that and again, when the executive director mentioned to me that they didn't have an educator on the board, they would want someone to bring us perspectives from the school, I felt honored that they would ask me to do that. And so I think the work that we do together is important, and I think we can make a tremendous difference in the lives of children by working together.
Well, one of the things I was really excited to hear about today was your whole child campaign, but it also just struck me that, you know, what we do at Georgia Appleseed is plant seeds, and some grow into big trees and some don't grow, but they can be these sort of transformative seeds of justice, and you have done all these clinics, basically getting asked. So if you could just talk about sort of those first seeds of how you first started doing health clinics and what you did to get those started, and then how they've bloomed into the other clinics and to your vision of the agency center.
Right, well, we started with our first school-based health clinic because Shirley Spires, who was then the Chief Operating Officer of Albany Area Primary Health Care, which is a community-based healthcare organization, gave me a call. We were friends, and she gave me a call with this great idea about having a school-based health clinic at one of our schools. And I wasn't familiar with the concept, but I trusted her, and I knew she had a heart for kids and a heart for the community. And so because I trusted her, I talked to our superintendent at the time, and we agreed to invest $75,000 in the renovation of a wing of one of our schools, which was underpopulated, and we started our first school-based health clinic. We had some tremendous success there. It reduced the number of students who come to school sick. It reduced absenteeism because of illness. It also relieves burden from parents who now don't have to get off work to take their child to see a doctor when they're sick. They can send them to school. And because a lot of our parents don't have jobs where they get paid time off for sick leave. So they take the child to the doctor instead of going to school, and instead of going to work, they miss pay. And so we understand those are barriers, and so we were able to address all of those with school-based health clinics starting in 2012. And since that time, we have 3 more. We have 4 total. We have a dental clinic in 3 of our schools, and we have a vision clinic in 1 of our schools. And in January 2019, we're going to open up what we call our Wraparound Services Support Center. We're going to have some of those services in 1 central location. We're going to keep the ones in the school. We're also going to have 1 in a central location in the city that's on our bus route. We're going to provide free bus transportation for our families to serve them, because we know transportation is a barrier to get some of those services as well. So we're really excited about the Wraparound Support Center that's opening in January, and we look forward to expanding the services through our community partners to meet the needs of the whole child, not only the child, but also the families.
You also talked about food insecurity. If you could just talk about sort of what y'all are doing on that.
Yeah, food insecurity is a big problem in this area of the state. Over half of the children in our service area are what we call food insecure, which means that they're not in a structured program. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. So several years ago, we started through our school nutrition program a third meal, which means any student who's in an after-school program that's academically based can get a free hot meal, not snacks, but a free hot meal. We already have universal free breakfast. We participate in the community eligibility provision with the USDA, which means all of our students eat free lunch. And now we have a majority of our students that eat free third meals or dinners before they go home. So some of our students get their breakfast, lunch, and dinner from the school system. But also, that happens on the weekdays. We also have an issue with weekends. So we partner with a local Methodist church and who has a member who retired from the school system, Mr. Kathy Revel. And she came to me about a program through Helping Hands Fighting Hunger. And what they do is they collect food that's unused, prepackaged food that's unused, whole fruit that's uneaten, milk, juice, anything that's undisturbed. And instead of throwing that food away when students don't eat it, we collect it during the week, Monday through Thursday. And then on Fridays, volunteers come in and package that food, and they give it to students who are in need of food for the weekend. So not only do we feed the kids Monday through Friday, 3 meals a day, some of our students get meals prepared by us, or food packaged by us on the weekend as well, to try to impact the families, even touching them on the weekends.
So have you come to know some kids who are just hungry and seen it yourself in terms of?
Well, yeah, we've had students who, we had tables where we started with just putting food that was not used, on having kids put it on tables instead of in the trash can, and students would come in and get it. This is a more organized approach. They fill out an application, and then we can use that application also to service them in our other services. A lot of times, hunger is a symptom of other problems, underemployment, unemployment, things like that. So if they need that service, we use the application process to make contact with them to see if there are any services, and the other services they may need. So when we look at the whole child, we're able to do everything they need.
Whole family.
Yeah, that's right.
So have you noticed sort of with providing the dental, the vision, the food, and you also have some behavioral services, has that impacted sort of the way students are approaching their school experience?
Yeah, we try to get students to take ownership of their own learning. And we still have disciplinary issues, but not as severe. But the other thing that it does is when we do those other things, I tell folks that the first time you make contact with a parent shouldn't be when you have a disciplinary issue with their child. If the parents know that you take interest in their well-being, to providing them with the meals, providing them with the additional tutoring, providing them with the dental clinic, the medical clinic, the vision clinic, and other services that we provide, they know you care. So when you reach out to them about disciplinary issues that the child may be experiencing, they know you're not coming from a sense of trying to pick on their child, but in an effort to continue to help and reach out. And so we've seen more receptiveness from parents as we approach the PBIS, as well as our restorative justice. And we see more of a partnership and more engagement with our parents as a result of the services that we're offering, because they see us as partners now, and not just those folks at the school who look down on me.
And so you talked about rethinking school discipline. Talk a little bit about how y'all are doing that.
Well, you know, the traditional approach to school discipline is if a student acts out, you suspend them, you send them home, and they come back to school, and you expect them to do something different when they come back without having any intervention to cause them to do something different. I think one definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So we stopped the insanity, and we changed our approach to student discipline. We started with PBIS, we started with cohorts, and we're on our 4th cohort right now. We've seen a tremendous impact on our discipline rates going down, as well as our office discipline referrals are going down. And then we're partnering that, and then we're combining that now with our restorative practices. We had our first training beginning of this school year with an IRP, Institute for Restorative Practices, credentialed educator who trained our secondary principals and assistant principals, as well as our DCSS police force, 18 certified officers. And we've seen results of that as well. It's too early to give statistics because we just started this year, but I know of 3 instances where specific instances where those offenses could have resulted in felony charges. We applied restorative practices instead, and those students on the road to recovery. They made amends with the victims and the parents of both the student who made the offense and the student who was hurt by the offense agreed to go through that process. So we see some promising efforts, and we think it's going to provide an opportunity for students to see that the police and other people in the disciplinary roles are there to help them and not hurt them. And sometimes it's an adversarial relationship. We're trying to make sure we show them that it's a healthy relationship, and that we have them take ownership of the things that they've done, but also let them understand that they can make amends after they do it.
And is PBIS, is it in all the schools? Are you growing it? What's going on with PBIS?
Right now, PBIS is in 14 of our 21 schools. And we have restorative practices in our secondary schools. There's 7 schools. And so we look to expand the PBIS. Of course, we want the schools to volunteer. We don't make them do it. Some schools who don't have as many disciplinary issues, they're doing other things. And so they don't see the need for that. And we're not pushing it. But we do tout the effectiveness of it. And the schools that participate in it, we have them make demonstrations at our principals meetings, at our board of education meetings, to show the impact that PBIS has had on their discipline rates. And so we're selling it by telling the story. And then when people want to join, they come on board and become part of one of our cohorts.
Great. And then if you could just talk a little bit about the behavioral health services and any sort of specific experience you have in terms of seeing whether it's been effective or not, and what y'all are doing.
Without going into specific details, we partner with Aspire Mental Health, Behavioral Health Services, the Renaissance Center, which provides behavioral health and mental health services, and Albany Area Primary Health Care, which operates our school-based health clinic, dental clinic, and our vision clinic. They now offer behavioral support, behavioral health services as well. And we don't have any specific, I don't have any specific instances in terms of students they reached out to. I don't want to get into too much detail, but we do it that the mental health issues are prevalent in our community, and our school system is not exempt from that. And those people who are afflicted with those conditions are becoming younger and younger, and it impedes their ability to learn. It makes for an environment in school that's less safe, less nurturing, and some parents, other parents are concerned. So we want to meet the needs of all of our students, whether they have behavioral health issues, challenges or not. And so we just have to find a way to meet them where they are to help grow them. And that's what we're committed to doing, and we're doing that through our behavioral health support partners in Aspire, Renaissance, and AAPAC.
Well, as you know, Terrence Wilson has been trained in restorative practices, and I think you've asked him to do something. Yes. Is that right?
Yes. Our first training for restorative practices, Dr. Mark Anthony Gooden, who's a part of the Dougherty County School System at Albany State University. He's now at Columbia's Teachers College, and he's credentialed through IRP, the Institute for Restorative Practices, and he came down to do our initial training. Of course, Terrence is also credentialed, and so he's committed to coming down and continuing that training with our reinforcement training with our secondary administrators as well as our elementary school administrators. We also have a young lady who's with our Department of Recreation with the city, and she practiced restorative practices in Bibb County. And just now, Kendra, she's volunteered to assist Terrence when he comes down to do the training. So we'll have someone on the ground who'll be able to work with us as well. So I'm excited about that opportunity.
Great. And then if you could just talk about today and having the All-In and Georgia Appleseed here, that'd be great. Yeah,
it takes a village. People hear that all the time, and it certainly does. All the needs that our students have, our families have, we can't meet as a school system alone. So we have our community partners, we enlist the support of our community partners who specialize in certain areas. We reach out to them to help provide those services. And it's been wonderful for us. It's wonderful for me to see them come together on a Saturday morning. That shows their commitment to the cause of making an impact in the lives of the students we're called to serve and the families we're called to serve. And so I'm inspired and encouraged by the support that I'm seeing today and by the community partners that are represented at the fair. And so I think that the people who are here will get exposed to all the services that are available in the community to help support families and students. And I think we'll see dividends as a result of today and the work that you've been doing throughout Georgia for the last several years.
My name is Angela Shoemate. I'm the principal of the Maurice Magnet School of the Arts in Albany, Georgia, Dougherty County.
Fantastic. Today we've been talking about what we can do to help keep kids in school and out of the criminal justice system. And what are some of your main things that you do at your school and in your life? Okay.
Well, at the Maurice Magnet School of the Arts, what we do is make sure that we give out our expectations about the second day of school, and we go ahead throughout the school year and we make sure that we're consistent with giving them our expectations. And the other thing that we do, we actually build relationships with our students, making sure that they understand that, hey, we're there for them and we're there together to help each other. Again, we are big on making sure that we have a positive environment because it starts there when they enter into that school. We have people to greet them, to make sure that they have a great day, but at the same time, throughout the building, throughout the classrooms, we go in and out, making sure that we talk about them as children as individuals as well. How are you doing? How's your day? How's the family? And one thing that I do at the Maurice, I know all other children's names, and I call them one by one, name by name, and I find something sweet, something special about that particular child, and I will ask about that particular thing so that the child will know that, wow, Dr. Shoemate really cares about me and she knows me. But not only that, throughout the building, it's not just the lead or the head of the school, but all of our teachers are on the same page. They know about the expectations. There are consistent rules across the board. Every child, if you stop a child and inquire about the rules of the school, every child knows the 5 rules. You don't need 20. The 5 rules.
What are the 5 rules?
That's right. I knew you were going to ask me. Number 1, the 5 expectations for PBIS is to be responsible, be safe, and be respectful. So everybody knows that. And throughout the building, we have rules or expectations, if you will, what you're supposed to do in the cafeteria, how you're supposed to stand in the hallways when you're using the restroom, how do you enter into the building, what does the expectations look like when you're entering into the library. So there are rules all over, or shall I say again, expectations. The school culture, the climate has shifted. We have less office referrals at our school. Again, we find other ways instead of suspending you of out of school suspension, because guess what? Nothing is at home but that PS4. But what you need to be is in school, so that we'll make sure that you get all of the skills that you need in order to pass any type of test or just for knowledge. All right? So we do all of that, but raise your hand for permission to speak. That's one of the rules that we do have. The other thing, raise your hand for permission to get out of your seat. We have those things. But if you go from class to class, those rules are everywhere.
So everybody knows what the expectations are.
Everybody knows what the expectations are.
How have you seen, without sort of giving too much details about a particular child, but
Okay.
have you seen sort of how this has impacted individual children who might sort of been at risk for having some behavior issues?
Absolutely. We've had different students at risk or have behavior challenges, so to speak. But what we have done through PBIS, talking about some positive behaviors, we've actually pulled mentors together to actually assign to those particular students to talk about positive things instead of negative, that will require positive behavior instead of negative behavior. So the mentors really do help out as far as PBIS is concerned. We started off with incentives for students, but now the students just know the expectations, and sometimes we only have to say thank you, and they receive that and say, wow, I made her proud. And we do a lot on the intercom. We do shout outs, making sure that our classes know that they are recognized. When we see classes in the hallways, just standing there, we make sure that we give a shout out and say, oh, Mrs. Dotson class was standing in line. They did a PBIS move. So we have a lot of positive things going on. And guess what? It all depends on your attitude too, and your relationship with your teachers, with your students, and with your parents. Your parents need to know what's happening in the school as well, because guess what? When those students go home talking about they received this or that, or they were caught being positive and got a shout out on the intercom, the parents know exactly what they're referring to. And again, it has decreased our office referrals. We really don't like office referrals. That's why we have those meaningful, courageous conversations saying that these are the expectations. You're Lamari's dragon, and this is the way a dragon whistle.
Wow, that's great. Do y'all have a health clinic at your school?
No.
Okay.
We do not.
And so just in terms of a specific impact, have you seen sort of like a child who was having more challenges and whether that child started doing better? Or?
Okay. Well, and that really was your question, right? That was the question. Yes, we've had students, and for example, one particular child who was just coming in and out of the office almost every day, twice a day. And then the first thing we really want to do, because all of us had work to do, and I think sometimes that is the attitude of, wow, I need to get this child out of this school, away from the other students, away from everybody. Well, this one particular child started doing that day after day, week after week, until we looked at the situation and said, wow, we think he's acting out too because he really wants to get home. Well, let's reverse that. When he started acting up, what we did, we put in our positive interventions, we talked with him, and guess what? He had an opportunity to stay at school to do classwork. Well, that didn't sit well with him, but he figured it out and said, wow, I think they're going to win. And so he really turned himself around. He became a school leader, coming to the office, getting paper. We could trust him to come to the office by himself. But before that, we were trying to get him with a buddy to come, but something would happen along the way. But now he is free, he comes, he goes, and I compliment him and say, wow, I remember when. Do you remember? Yes, ma'am. But no longer he is like that. So I believe, again, because of the positive relationship and not giving up on him. Every day at Lamari's is a new day. No matter what you did Monday, Tuesday, you get a chance to start over again.
Great. And then relationships. You talked about the importance of love in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You want to just talk about how, what is your key to sort of keeping kids in school and out of the criminal justice system?
Okay. Keeping kids in school is so important, but that relationship piece, when the students really know that you love them, that you care about them, and they will begin to trust you with some of, everything. That relationship, when I think about that, I think about naming them one by one, knowing Tony from Devon, knowing Soraya from Simone, but also being available. I am an approachable principal. There is nothing that I wear on a given day that I cannot receive a hug. Even if we have pancakes and sausage, the syrup is all right. Again, they need to know that you love them and that they can come to you at any given moment. If there is a situation on the bus, in the cafeteria, in the media center, Dr. Shumate, can I talk to you? We have something to talk to you about. And my answer to them is always, yes, come on in, let's discuss it. Again, trying to stop things before they even start.
My name is Arian Mitchell, and I am a parent at Lamari's, and I am also the president of the PTO at Lamari's.
Great. And tell me what it means to be a parent of a. What are your deepest concerns as a parent with the school system, and why are you involved?
My deepest concern is just, and I don't know if it's necessarily a concern, but I just want to make sure that my children get to school every morning and they're getting everything that they need, as far as learning and stuff like that. So when we get to Lamari's, I'm almost sure that that's exactly what they're getting, because we have faces that's greeting them every morning, and even sometimes they're passing out pencils and paper or whatever it is that they need. You walk in the parent facilitator office, every single thing that our children need is right there on the desk. And he has an open door policy. If you need it, come in, Dr. Jones, this is what I need. You can get it. Uniforms, anything. So my main concern is just making sure that they're getting the level of education that they need before they move to the next level.
So one of the things we're very interested in is improving school climate and the sort of the atmosphere of the school and how that impacts discipline and learning. What is your experience with that?
It goes back to what I was just saying. When they get there in the morning, we have someone that's greeting them. Hey, have a good day. And greeting them by name. Then we also, once they get past that person, that's open the door for them. And we also have student ambassadors that's opening the next car door if they don't make it up to the adult that's there. Once they get past them, you have another adult that's standing at the door. Good morning. Have a good day. You know, just smiling faces throughout the entire building. If our children get to school at 8 o'clock, the bell has rang, cafeteria, you still get to go eat breakfast because they want to make sure that they're entering the classroom and able to have food in their system, because you can't concentrate if you're hungry. And a lot of times it's not the children's fault that they're coming to school late because they don't drive. So at our school, they still let them come in and eat breakfast, even if it's 8 o'clock. No child is turned around from breakfast. It's a lot of positive enforcement, a lot of positive reenactment, personal experience with my child. If he gets in trouble, the teacher always say, tomorrow's a new day. We're going to start off new. Tomorrow's a new day. We're not going to think about what happened today. We're going to come in tomorrow and, you know, we're going to start off brand new. So
how does that make your son feel?
It makes him feel awesome. Even the same child, 1 week he may have gotten in trouble 3 times in 1 week. And that Wednesday for Dress for Success, we also have Dress for Success, and they dress up and look really nice on Dress for Success. And she said, you know, you're the only student that participates in Dress for Success. She said, I'm going to wear my dress tomorrow when you dress up. So he went to school Wednesday, and he was excited about her wearing her dress. He didn't get in trouble at all that day. So by the end of the week, he said, Mama, Mr. Whitmire likes when I dress up. He said, next week I'm going to dress up every day, because when I dress up, I don't get in trouble at school. So it made him realize that you act the way you look. And not that he was coming to school any kind of way. He had on uniforms, but he decided he wanted to wear shirt and tie every day. Wow. That following week, and that's what we did. We put him in shirt and tie every day. We didn't get not one phone call. With my son, he tends to shut down if things didn't go his way. He would shut completely down. And with his teacher now, which he has always had awesome teachers at Lamar Reese. I'll never forget his kindergarten teacher. Her rule was, this is my classroom, not your parents' classroom. So I'm not going to call them when you get in trouble. You know, I'm going to make sure everything is going right. Now, and that was kindergarten. Now he's 3rd grade, and it kind of worked hand in hand. She doesn't call often, and when she does, it's pretty much because it's something that she can't handle. But she's not putting him out of school. She's calling to see if we can maybe come and redirect him in a different way than what she has been trying. So when she gives him positive feedback, when he's doing positive things, she'll dojo me and say, we're having an awesome day today. And sometimes it's just noon. It's just that she's showing him that I'm letting Mama know that you're having a good day, and I want the whole day to go like this. When he walks in, good morning, Octavius, you know, have a good day. You know, Ms. Whitmire is expecting you to have a good day today. And that makes him feel good that he's being recognized for his positive behavior. When he dressed up, he walked in the classroom, you look real nice today. You look real sharp. He have a good day. It's like he wants to hear it. And when he hear it and he feels it, we don't have any problems. If he were at a school that was constantly disciplining him and you know, not acknowledging the right that he is doing, I don't think that it would go over well. It wouldn't be as successful, because he likes to be, like just as most children, likes to be praised for when he's doing right, and that kind of helps him go in the right direction. He's a busy boy. And and when he's being praised for doing right, he does what he's supposed to do. Usually when he's being chastised, that's when he shuts down, and it's like, no more work for today. I'm done, you know. So I don't think it would be as successful as what he's going through now.
Great.
If I were in charge, some of the things, at least one of the things I would do to keep children in school and out of the school system, I noticed that when you have a troubled child, if you can give them that positive redirection, if they're done with their work, give them something, you know, give them an assignment. Can you go erase the board? You know, just give them something extra to do versus them just sitting there with an idle mind and thinking, you know, about something totally outside of the box that don't have anything to do with school. I found that to be successful. Going back to my son, when he's done, it's always something else that she have ready for him. So he's not able to sit there and, you know, interrupt his classmate or anything else. So I think that once you get to know the child and build that relationship with them and see what works for them, that's when you can start getting positive results. Sometimes he may not want to sit in his desk and do his work. He might want to stand beside his desk and write. That's perfectly fine with her. She pretty much does what works for him, and it helps the day go by better.
All right, so tell me your name and who you are, what you do.
All right, my name is Jonathan Whittaker. I am Regional Director for Specialty Services at Albany Area Primary Healthcare. I oversee the operations of OBGYN, behavioral health, podiatry, optometry, dentistry, and the list probably will be different by the time this video comes out.
So tell me about school-based health services. Why do you do it? Why does it work? Should other places do it?
School-based health centers have a great direct impact on the community as far as the schools and the healthcare of the children. We notice a big disparity as far as healthcare that the kids were provided throughout the years as far as what the school nurses could actually do. So we were tasked with trying to find a way to actually get them full health medical services inside the school. As Mr. Dyer said earlier, you know, our CEO went to him with this great idea, but didn't have the budget. So we kind of relied on that, the school system to kind of, you know, join partnership. And of course we went through all the benefits and things of that nature as far as, you know, reduction of kids being out of school, the ability to help children that may have not had other means to get medical attention, as far as the parents may not have had the ability to take them to their visits because they were in school. We were able to see those children for full medical attention during school hours, which actually put a reduction on the children being out of school and increased their well-being of health, and also it allowed them to not have that care going, that care not being paid attention to early, which normally would lead them going to the ER and, you know, things of that nature. So that actually reduced a lot of our population having to go to the ER for those visits because we provided that stuff during school hours. And they expanded over the years to providing dental services for the kids. Oral care is very important. You do see in Southwest Georgia where a lot of kids, their oral care isn't the best. And we're able to do screenings, fillings, cleanings, full dental services in the schools. And from there, it expanded to behavioral health services. You know, there was a lot of challenges with, you know, student behaviors and things of that nature. And of course, you had your school counselors and things like that. But we felt the need to provide more services to the students to actually bring more care into the schools.
And have you noticed how the behavioral health services are impacting school discipline, criminal justice referrals, any of that, or just how kids are doing in general?
Yes, we've seen a reduction in pretty much in a lot of the, I guess, the students that we see. Initially, before we started, of course, you would have troubled kids and things of that nature. Once they got referred to us, we saw a reduction in the bad behavior and an actual increase in grades. So, of course, behavior, has a direct correlation with, grades in school, graduation rates, things of that nature. So it's a full ram of things that go along with behavioral health, along with health services. Let's just say you have a child that may have low self-esteem because their teeth are bad. They may lash, they may act out, things like that, and it also affects their grades. But if you can provide that dental care, it actually may boost their self-esteem that their teeth are actually better now, cleaner. I think health has a lot to do with grades and things like that in the school system. So we have seen a great increase, and we're looking to partner with more community partners that have that direct connect with children at a certain age. So we're looking to do things down with the Boys and Girls Club, things like that, so that we can extend it past the school hours to the after school also.
Great. So you've grown your behavioral health services a lot. Why is that, and what impact are you seeing on kids?
Well, I think more or less the actual teachers and the principals are seeing a lot more, how can I say it? They're seeing the impact of how it's helping and it's improving.
Perfect. So let me start you over again so they don't have to hear my voice. We've grown our behavioral health services because the school, the teachers, whatever.
Yeah.
Try that.
Okay. We've grown our behavioral health services because the parents, the teachers, the principals have also seen a decrease in bad behavior with the students that have participated in some of our therapy sessions, meeting with our therapists and things of that nature. They have actually improved in grades, attendance, graduation rates. So we've seen a full scope of different things that have attributed to the demand of more behavioral health services.
Tell me your name and what you do.
My name is Cindy Jordan. I'm an outreach and enrollment coordinator with Albany Area Primary Health Care. As a former educator in the Dougherty County school system, we saw a lot of children coming to school sick or not coming to school at all, and in doing home visits. You go to the home and you find out the child has missed so many days out of school because he or she has been ill, and the parents don't have transportation to get them to their primary care provider, or if it's that time for immunizations and there's a barrier with transportation, they just keep them home instead of sending them to school. So with partnering with Albany Area Primary Health Care, when they set up the school-based health center in Turner Elementary School, we saw more children missing fewer days out of school due to illnesses or anything that might have kept them from coming to school because they were sick or they were not up to date on the immunizations and couldn't get to their primary care provider. They were actually able to catch the school bus to come into school and be able to be seen in our school-based health center. Having more school-based health centers and more schools will increase the attendance rate. It'll make sure that those students are up to their health. They can get their health, child health checks done. A lot of parents don't know that they need to not just take the child to their primary care provider when they're sick, but they need those annual visits going in to make sure that they're okay. When they go in for those screenings, they get vision screenings. They any medications or prescriptions. They talk about their nutrition. They get nutrition counseling, a host of things that they get through their well child health check visits annually. So it will increase the attendance rate. If those students are sick, having them in the school-based health centers, they can come to school, go in to see the provider. If a prescription is needed to be written, that can be taken care of there in the school. Or if the child just needs an aspirin or whatever medication is there, they can get that and maybe lay down for a few minutes and then back to class.
So how have you seen any sort of individual families or children impacted by this school-based health centers?
And during home visits, when I was with the Dougherty County school system, there were children who were asthmatic or, had different issues, and the parents were just not able to take the child because of not having adequate transportation. If the child was sick, they just kept them at the house. I've had several families that I would either make the phone call, if the phone was disconnected, I'd go out to the home to see that the child or the family was there in the house and not feeling well. But having that school-based health center in the school, the mother didn't have to worry about paying someone and not having the money because she didn't have transportation to get her children to the doctor. Child's having an asthma attack or whatever the ailment may be. That parent knew that if I get up and get my child dressed for school and send them on, I can call ahead and make sure that they were pulled and they were seen in the school-based health center. So we've seen, the attendance rate go up at Turner Elementary School before I actually retired and started working with Albany area primary health care. Those parents knew that they could send those children to school not feeling well. They can call ahead and have little Sally or little Johnny pulled out once they got to school and they were seen and they were fine. And in talking with the providers, even with those well child health checks, the providers ask the children, and the children are comfortable, in talking with their behavior. They're counseled with behavior, with their diets, a host of things. So it's not just taking a temperature or, triaging and taking the blood pressure and all. They get a little bit of counseling in there as well.
And that impacts?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. In a positive way. The child, is taught. There's someone else that's not actually the classroom teacher or an administrator, talking about their behavior and trying to get their behavior back on the right track. That provider, feels a closeness with that child, vice versa, and so, the behaviors change sometimes for the best. We actually have a licensed clinical social worker that goes into the school, and she does one-on-one individual counseling, and she also do group counseling with those students who she counsel in the schools.
And what impact does that have on the kids?
She has, when school is closed, I've seen those families come into her office in one of our medical centers, and they just have a really, really close bond with her. This particular licensed clinical social worker, when she was out on maternity leave, there were a lot of parents, a lot of her patients said, I'll just wait until she comes back. They know that the other licensed clinical social workers are capable and they're experienced, but she has such a strong bond and a strong connection with these families that they just love seeing her. They're comfortable with her. The parents are, the children are, and it's just wonderful. It's a great thing. She loves it. She has a passion for it. She loves being in those schools, and they love having her.
And how has it impacted the schools, school discipline, school safety to have the behavioral health services connected with the schools?
Actually, sometimes, in sitting down and speaking out, is not that the child is just, they can actually, sitting down with one of the social workers, the licensed clinical social workers, there is a problem, there's an issue. It could be that there's a death in the family. It could be that someone close to them is missing out of their life due to divorce, due to incarceration, due to death or whatever, but sitting down and having that one-on-one conversation with that licensed clinical social worker, it's awesome. And then especially in a group setting when those children are able to sit with peers and they find out that they have the same thing going on, you know, it actually helps them out, you know, and they're speaking with the social worker, and some of the choices that they've been making, they know that they're not exactly quite right, and that's a good thing. I've seen and I've heard from some of my former co-workers that it's a good thing having those LCSWs in the school system for those children. The school system have, you know, their own social worker, but to have a licensed clinical social worker coming in and pulling that child, the teacher has an opportunity to, you know, to speak with her and tell her, you know, little Johnny or little Sally is experiencing this, and, you know, we're seeing these types of behaviors, and they know what it is and what questions and what conversations they need to have with those children. I am federally trained. I'm an outreach and enrollment coordinator. I actually help individuals sign up for, actually navigate their way through the system to see about getting health insurance, where they window shop. If they find a plan that they like and they like to enroll in it, I help them to get enrolled in that health insurance plan. Families who are trying to get Medicaid, or if their children's Medicaid have dropped or whatnot, I actually
How much of that is an issue in terms of like Medicaid dropping, or like losing health insurance or gaining health insurance in terms of being able to get health care?
Through our school-based health centers, the provider, if a child shows up for a well child health check or a follow-up visit for whatever reason, and that Medicaid has dropped, they'll call me, and I actually will call the parent and schedule an appointment and do the application to see about getting her child or children or the whole family's Medicaid. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's the documentation the parent didn't send back in or what, but we go back through the process, and in a few, you know, days or maybe a couple of weeks, they find out that the Medicaid has been reinstated, so the children are able to be seen in the health center.
And do you have a pretty good experience or not a good experience with the managed care organizations, the CMOs?
Oh yeah, we actually work hand in hand. We do a lot of events together. They go to our different pediatric facilities, our facilities that have pediatric. They do diaper days, so we work closely along with all of our CMOs.
Great.
Yeah. Great. I'm so happy that Georgia Appleseed put this event on today, and for the people who were not here, you missed it. I hope they do it again soon. I tried to call and get even more people in, but I'm hoping that this event will be put on again soon so more people can actually come out and take part of it. This has been awesome today. It truly has been. Everybody should have been here, because I learned how things were done in the past, how we're doing things in our school system today, and what we need to do in the future to bridge that gap between the schools and the families, to help all of our children, not only our children, but our whole community. So if they put this event on again, I want to be in the know, and I'm going to be contacting everybody so they can be in the audience.
Tell me your name and what you do.
Okay. My name is Corrigan. I'm a social worker at Albany Area Primary Health Care. I work at East Albany Pediatrics at a pediatric facility. And what I do, I see all of our new patients, any patients 9 to 12 months old, any patients that our providers want us to see. We do have a behavioral health program at our facility. So what I do is I just complete a basic assessment consisting of the patient or patient's names, date of birth, things like that, and basically just educate them on our services offered at Albany Area Primary Health Care. We offer dental services, we offer vision, we have a podiatrist, we have school health-based centers, and we also have what we call a behavioral health program. And so what I do is educate them on that program as well. And from that, see a lot of kids that has ADHD, anger issues, grief issues, things of that nature. So what I actually do, once I assess them and they identify their needs to me, I actually refer them to one of our LCSWs, or either I do refer adults to psychiatrists if needed. We do have psychiatrists, nurse practitioners within our organization. However, at this time, we do not have anyone to see children, so we do refer those kids out.
Okay. And have you seen the impact it has to get a child who's having some issues on behavioral health services?
Yes, I have. Most times I follow up with my teenagers because they are sometimes kind of not very receptive to services. But one thing I do when assessing those teenagers, I actually ask them if they want the services. Are you going to participate? Like, I can think it's a good idea. Their parents can think it is a good idea, but they are the main person involved in the therapy. And so this particular guy, I remember clearly, I was so excited that he was coming back in for an appointment because he was one of the guys that I referred to our program. And I asked him, I said, well, what did you think about therapy? How'd it go? He said, it was awesome. She was awesome. She helped me so much. She actually kept me out of trouble in school. So I think it's great. I think it's a great program.
Great. Why is it important to have health services and particularly behavioral health services associated with the schools as opposed to, what?
Because in the school system, there are a lot of children that's been experiencing behavioral health issues. And sometimes the parents just think it's normal behavior. Sometimes it's just a situation because the teachers have more than one child. A lot of the behaviors that they are seeing, they may feel that it's normal behavior. However, with behavioral health services, and especially in the schools, with having someone within the school, like a social worker, licensed clinical social worker, just having someone there to actually assess those kids, identify that these kids do have issues, and just ensuring that they receive the services. Because once they actually receive the services that they need, I do feel that that way they're going to have a good quality of life, including educational, medical, financial. These kids are not going to be like kindergartens forever. So I do think when they receive those services, they are most likely to have a good quality of life. However, I've actually assessed kids 16 years old and they've been dealing with grief since 10. And, the parents was like, oh, I didn't understand that's what it was. So you really can't hold kids accountable and responsible for their behaviors if they don't have any control over it.